and I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Yeah. All right. Cool. So obviously last week, if some of you guys haven't watched it yet, I recommend that you watch it. Week one was about protein and vegetables and kind of like why that's important. Just when in doubt, increase your protein, increase your vegetable intake. It's going to help with satiation. It's going to help fill you up. It's going to help you not binge. So this is kind of circling back and kind of coming full circle with week two. This week is all about eating out smart, how to navigate at restaurants. Because let's face it, we all kind of live busy lives and we're not always going to have the time to meal prep and have everything ready for the week essentially. So, how can we fit healthy eating into our lifestyle if we kind of are on the go a little bit? So that is what this week is about. So here's kind of some of the topics that we're going to be covering. Lot of information here, but don't let it scare you. We're going to break everything down. If anybody has any questions, while we're going, just raise your hand. You can hit the raise hand button on the thing, and I'll see it, or you can type it in the chat. That's fine. Yeah, so let's get started. Week two. This week is all about mastering how to eat out at restaurants, staying on track with your goals. I want you guys to understand what is a calorie, and why calories are so important and why they're even more important when you're out eating at restaurants. Okay. So to put it simply, a calorie is a unit of energy. All right. We need calories to function, right? To just do anything. Um, Everything that we consume has calories in it. So even if you guys see like diet soda, sugar-free this, sugar-free that, and it says 0 calories, the nutrition labels are legally allowed to round down. So everything has calories to a certain degree, otherwise it wouldn't exist, if that makes sense. So, obviously some things have more calories than others. But pretty much anything that you can put into your body is considered a calorie. Any kind of movement that you guys do, you burn calories while doing that. All right. So that's just very, very basic understanding of what a calorie is. So the first kind of concept I want you guys to understand is maintenance calories. Okay. So essentially, your body has a certain number of calories that it can either intake or output throughout the day that's going to make you maintain your body weight always, right? So if that number was 2000, right? If you eat 2000 calories for the day, every single day, and you're 150 pounds, your body's always going to stay at 150 pounds. If you start to go over, you're going to gain weight. If you start to go below that, you're going to lose weight, right? So the general concept is always going to be, in order to change your body weight, it's always going to be calories in versus calories out. All right. Um, does everybody kind of understand that concept? What maintenance calories?
Yeah. How do you like know what your maintenance calories are though? Like how do you calculate that?
So that's a good question. So there are formulas that you can play around with to find your maintenance calories. It's dependent on a couple of things. It's dependent on your output throughout the day, so how active you are, the thermic effect of food, and your BMR, like how much body fat mass you have on your body. So there are formulas and there are like calculators online that you can kind of plug in there. Some of them are okay, some of them are not too bad, but without getting too complicated, the simplest way to do it would be to basically track every single thing that goes into your body throughout the week, and track your weight as well. If your weight goes up, then like you were eating too much. If your weight goes down, you know that you weren't eating enough. If your weight stayed the same, then you're at maintenance, and you kind of come up with the average of what your calories were for that week or for that 2 week period. That would be the simplest way to do it. Um, Now, if that's too kind of like complicated for you guys, the best way to kind of judge that would be to go off of the scale. So, if you are pretty much consistently weighing yourself and you see that, like, hey, I'm maintaining my weight, or I'm losing weight, or I'm gaining weight, over the course of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it may be, um, then you kind of have a rough understanding of like how much you're intaking. Is it enough? Is it too much? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, you can get very specific with it if you want to. If you do, feel free to kind of message me on the side, and I'll help you walk through that if you really want to find your exact number. But a rough estimate is to just kind of go off of how your body weight is reacting to what the food you're intaking.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. So now that we have that understanding of what maintenance calories are, we are going to I'm sorry, I didn't do this, guys. Where's the present button so you guys can see it better? That's better. Okay, so the 500 calorie deficit approach. So this is a good concept to understand as well. So a 500 calorie deficit is a very sustainable way to lose weight. It's very consistent. It's very good for the long term. And this is kind of how I recommend all you guys start is kind of be like in a 500 calorie deficit per day. Okay. Um, the reason for this is because there are 3,500 calories in 1 pound of body fat, right? There's 7 days in a week. If you eat 500 calories less, that equals 3,500. That would be 1 pound of fat loss per week if you ate in a 500 calorie deficit. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Hanan, does that make sense? Erica,
Yeah, definitely.
makes sense. Yeah. I don't
Yes, yes.
make sense. You guys don't have to necessarily worry too much about the exact science and the exact numbers. I just kind of want you guys to roughly understand principles, because when we get into like the meat and potatoes of what this
Hmm.
week is about, it will give you a better understanding. So, has anybody here ever lost a significant amount of weight before, like 50 pounds, 60 pounds, anything like that?
I lost 40 pounds,
You lost
44.
40 pounds.
Yeah, since
If,
August.
okay, excellent. If you don't mind me asking, has it been difficult to keep the weight off?
Um, no, I've been like consistently exercising now.
Good.
So now I kind of want to build muscle instead.
Okay.
And now my problem is I can't really gain the weight that I want.
You can't gain it back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's a good problem to have, but we kind of all know the typical story, or maybe we know somebody that lost like a significant amount of weight, and then maybe like a year goes by or whatever, and they put it right back on. I'm sure we've all kind of seen that. Um, a big
Yeah, I
reason.
don't want that to happen either.
Right. Well, what it sounds like with you, because you did it in a longer period of time since August, you're actually more likely to keep the weight off for good. The slower you lose weight, the more likely you are to keep it off for good. The faster you lose weight, the quicker, the higher chance it is to rebound and to put the weight back on. And that's simply because if you go too fast with weight loss, um, you're pretty much in starvation mode. Your body eventually catches up and is like, hey, we've been starving for too long. We want to eat. And then you kind of can't control yourself. So, a question in the chat, where do you suggest cutting the 500 calories? Like, does it matter which food source we cut it from? No, that would just be from your overall intake throughout the day. So, like I said, if you kind of figure out like, hey, I know that maintenance calorie wise, I'm around 2,000 calories per day. I want my overall intake to be 1,500. You could cut it through each meal, so you can say I'm going to eat 3 meals per day, divide the 3 meals by 500 calories. That's what, like roughly 150 calories less than what you're used to eating each meal, kind of take it from there. Or you could do it all at once. Um, so yeah, that's kind of why I suggest a small calorie deficit, right? Because the slower you lose the weight, the more likely you are to keep it off. So a 500 calorie deficit per day is a really nice, moderate, sustainable, long-term weight loss approach to eating. It's very, very good. And you know, truth be told with this stuff, like the more specific you can get with tracking exactly what is going into your body, the easier it's going to be to lose weight because you know exactly what's going in. You now know what you have to consume to lose weight. All right. Everybody good with that? Alexa, good. Erica, good. Cool. All right. If I'm going too fast, guys, please just slow me down. Okay. So now restaurant calories add up, right? So this is very important too. A single restaurant meal, figure you go out to dinner, appetizers, couple drinks, dessert, main course, that can easily be, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 calorie meal right there. You know what I'm saying? So that's more than your entire daily caloric budget for most of you guys, right? So it really is unfortunate to say, but if your goal is weight loss and you're tracking everything and you're measuring and you know you're in a calorie deficit every day and you say, hey, I'm gonna go out on the weekend and just do, kind of have a day of doing whatever you want to do. It can ruin your week's worth of weight loss for that week in one singular sitting. Um, yeah, just from a pure calorie standpoint. Victoria, I saw like you were little like, damn, when I said that.
No, it's just I think it's just the reality kicking in that,
Yeah,
it's so you have to be so consistent with it. That's it.
definitely. You really do. And it stinks to say, because like obviously like how do we like what's the alternative, right? Like what do we just never go out to eat? Like how do you kind of manage that? So that's what we're going to get into obviously like in a couple slides from now, how to manage this best, because I think it's important for everybody to understand, how do you go about losing weight and still kind of living your life regular, like you're not living in this box per se, like, oh, I can't go out, I can't drink, I can't do this, can't do that. So how do you kind of manage that stuff? So that's what we're going to go over. But I do think that it's important that you guys kind of understand what a calorie is first, what a calorie deficit is, and then how quickly all of that can get ruined by going out to eat. you know um all right, next slide. Yeah, so this is kind of like what I just said. So 1 to 2 nights out per week of not non-mindful eating, can ruin that deficit that we've worked so hard over the last week to try to achieve. Alcohol is a really big player in this. It does lower your willpower to make healthy choices. I mean, everybody's kind of had gotten drunk and then got McDonald's after that, after eating, or pizza or whatever it is. Um, Appetizers are often fried, or like kind of like heavy cream options. Those pack on a ton of calories. Fried foods, sugars, all these things, they're very, very calorie dense. And it makes eating out tough. It makes it tough. So how do we navigate these struggles? Okay. So another thing is, well, what if I eat out a lot or frequently or a couple times per week, but I train really, really hard? I lift weights 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Will I stand a chance? And to be honest with you, the answer is still no, unfortunately. Um, a typical weightlifting session can burn anywhere from 200 to 400 calories. And I know that's not what you guys want to hear. And I know your Apple Watch probably says it's more than that. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's still not enough to override eating out consistently. and just the massive amount of calories, restaurants offer. A single eating out and drinking out occasion can, often be like 2,000 calories. Even if you're training 2 to 3 times per week, it's just not going to overdo it. So I know, pretty much everybody here is in the gym at least twice a week, right? For the most part, everybody's here like twice a week.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good, and you don't want to obviously stop lifting weights just because, you've come to this realization, but you have to do both. You have to exercise and you have to eat good if you want to see the results that you want to see. And the eating out part is very difficult because it's all day long. You never get a break from it. You wake up, your breakfast has to be good. You go to work, the snack that you have has to be good. Your lunch has to be good. Your dinner has to be good, right? So it's like all day long. Whereas when you go to the gym, you can lock in for an hour. You can say to yourself, I'm going to go hard for this hour. I'm going to go home, relax after that, and it's done. So the eating part is the hardest for sure when it comes to this because you really don't ever get a break from it. It's not to say you can't ever occasionally go out and enjoy yourself, whatever, but 90% of the time, like you do have to be on point. Absolutely. So how do we navigate when we're out? Okay. So let's first start with alcohol. Okay. So we'll start with the drinks first. Your best bet is clear liquor and either a 0 calorie mixture, so a diet drink, um, you know, a sugar-free juice, or on the rocks, right? That's going to be your best bet when you're drinking. The reason for this is because clear liquor has the least amount of calories compared to any other alcohol. Um, I would personally recommend this, guys. 1 to 2 drinks if you do need to drink. That's going to be your best bet. Obviously, the fewer the better, right? Like if you don't have to drink, it's just, you're going to just save more calories at the end of the day. But, I also understand it's a social thing sometimes. And you're out with friends, you're out with family, kind of feel like, you need a drink because it's a social thing. So, I'd recommend 1 to 2 if you do go out. And I would definitely avoid, if weight loss is your goal, avoid calorie heavy mixed drinks. So what is that? Margaritas, sugary cocktails, dark liquor, beer. These things have calories and lots of calories. A margarita literally contains like 30 to 40 grams of sugar in one drink. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. So, if you are going to drink, your best bet is clear liquor. And if you need a mixer, mix it with a Diet Coke, a Diet Sprite, sugar-free juice, or get it on the rocks, anything like that. Any questions so far, guys? See everybody. Nope. Erica, we're good. Anon, we're good.
I'm
Maggie,
good.
we're good.
I
Everything.
actually had to go out to eat 3 times last week for birthdays and work events. Oh, let me come off camera.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just finishing dinner. And I ate well 2 out of the 3 nights, but I actually didn't have alcohol any of the 3 nights, which is like kind of a big improvement for me.
Yeah.
So the third night I was out for a friend's birthday and I knew I was gonna have like some carbs for dinner, so I just didn't drink. And honestly, I was a little like having a FOMO moment, but just thinking about my long-term goal was a lot better for me than like the short-term pleasure of a drink. So
Definitely. So, with the FOMO, was it just like you didn't have a drink in your hand, or like it was just like actually kind of like consuming the alcohol and like that?
I think it was more like the drink in hand situation and like
Yeah.
everybody talking about what drinks they're getting, if they like it. At one point I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get a mocktail. They had
Yeah.
like a Hugo Spritz mocktail that was literally like club soda, mint, and like elderflower. So it was probably like a little sugary, but no alcohol, and I had that one, and I was like, I really just could have stuck to water. So I think
Yeah,
I needed to like kind of get through that mindset thing with the mocktail, and then be like, all right, I didn't feel any like more connected to the group
yeah,
with like fake drink in my hand. So it
absolutely.
felt
Absolutely.
like that was a big moment for me.
Good. Yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm definitely glad. I think if you kind of want to quote unquote, fool people per se, get a club soda, with ice and kind of looks like you're drinking a vodka club soda type of thing, right? People don't really know. You could tell them that's what it is. The
So
truth is like, people will kind of question you a little bit. You're gonna hear, oh, it's just one drink, right? What's the big deal? One drink, or are you gonna live your whole life? You're gonna get a bunch of stuff. And yeah, to be honest with you, that's where kind of willpower and understanding like what you're trying to achieve, that's where, that thought process is gonna come in. So the temptation's definitely gonna be hard, but I think from what you said, you definitely felt a little bit better probably afterwards, like, hey, I achieved this and um I feel good, I was able to say no.
definitely. And I do agree that it's probably the most of like outside forces, like people questioning why I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
I'm married for almost a year now, and like everyone's first reaction is, "Oh, you're not drinking? Are you
Mhm.
pregnant?"
Yeah.
So like overcoming that is like a little frustrating for me.
Yeah.
And just being like, no, I'm just, trying to lose weight, trying to get healthy. Like, I'm really committed to this journey I'm on. Just doesn't seem enough for people. And like, that's okay because it's more
Yeah.
than enough for me.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel that people are a little too opinionated. So I think it is more of like the outside forces than the FOMO that I dealt with last week.
Well, I'll tell you this, and take it for what it's worth. If it were easy for everybody to lose weight, for everybody to be in shape, for everybody to be fit, everybody would be, right? Very few people actually don't want to be that, right? It's hard for a reason. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna deal with that stuff for a reason. People aren't gonna understand, people are gonna question you, all these things. And those are some of the obstacles that you kind of have to overcome throughout your journey, is like, you know, understanding like, hey, the path that I'm choosing right now, it's a little bit different from the norm, and that's okay. I know I might get questioned about this, I might get questioned about that, and it's just about kind of understanding where you're going, you know. So that's excellent. That's excellent. Has anybody else had any wins in the last week when it came to alcohol? Or it doesn't have to be wins. It could be something that, you wish you had done better, and you're not sure how to navigate that. Maybe one of you guys drank too much, or you don't know kind of how to approach situations when it comes to that. Hanan, anything with
Yeah,
do you tend to
I,
drink?
I don't drink. That's what I
Oh,
didn't
this is
participate
good.
because I don't drink at all. So I
Good,
don't miss it. Yeah.
good. All right, good. Nina, what about you?
I just got here, so what are we talking about?
Oh,
This
yeah. So we're just talking about going out, alcohol, like good choices to make when it comes to alcohol. If you do need to drink, I suggest clear liquor, 0 calorie mixers, things like that. Erica was telling us that she was in a situation where she was tempted to drink a couple different times, and she ultimately did a very good job navigating it, because she realized her goals and she realized that she wanted to stick to it. So I'm now asking other people if they've had any similar situations in their even in their life like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it depends on the mindset I'm in at the time I'm at the event. I could tell you as of recently, like even though like I'm kind of like co-hosting this with you. I've just made a better, my mindset's in a better place. Like so, even this weekend, like last night, I went out to dinner, and It's me, Luca, and my girl, and like I'm having filet mignon with vegetables, and I had like one drink, but it was just like vodka on the rocks, you know. And I enjoyed it. Like it wasn't like I was depriving myself. Like I got out, I got to go out to dinner with my family. I ate a good meal, and I woke up today like okay, like I didn't mess up. Like I'm still like getting closer to my goals. So it was a kind of powerful thing that I want to try to make it more like a long term part of my life, just like going out to eat because that's I love going out to eat. Like I'm Italian, um, but also like being able to like still stay on track, you know, like because I'm also turning 30 this like in 2 weeks. Like I don't want to like be on this cycle of like, okay, like I care about nutrition, then I don't care about nutrition. I want it to be like more a long term like lifestyle, you know? So that's kind of like my what happened this weekend and how I'm implementing like just my nutritional habits.
Definitely. And that's what this week is all about is, how do you find that balance, because let's face it, like, we're all going to go out to restaurants. We're all going to drink, what I mean? Like it's a part of life. But we still have goals that we want to hit, right? So I believe that if you are more knowledgeable, if you're smarter, if you understand food and calories a little bit more, you can find a way to navigate going out to eat and all these different situations and still fit it into your lifestyle and still hit your fitness goals. Um, so yeah, that's what it's all about. And like Nino said, he was smart because he knew what to order actually because of last week, right? Protein and veggies when you go out, and he was had a low calorie meal that was filling, that was delicious, and he had a drink or two, and he had a great time, and that's really all it is. That's how it is. Just being a little bit more mindful than you already are.
I just want to add something. I'm super grateful for this lesson because I feel like myself getting anxious now with like the warmer weather and like more events happening. Or like I see like, okay, I'll go to this baseball game. And I feel like, going to Sage, I'm like, I'm getting stronger. Like I'm seeing like a difference and I feel it. But just knowing that like all these social events for summer is coming up, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I kind of need to put myself in this mindset. I don't know if
Yeah,
that makes sense, but it's like, it is that time of year where like naturally you're outside a little bit more and there's a lot happening, so I feel like this is like at the perfect time. So
absolutely, absolutely, and yeah, that's a really good point too. Like summer's coming up, you
mhm.
know, it's almost that time of the year where people, niece, nephews, brothers, younger brothers,
Yeah,
every graduating from college, right? College
there's
grad
always a celebration, something.
celebration, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of things coming up. And like I said, I truly believe that if you have the knowledge, you can navigate because you're going to be able to say to yourself, like, okay, I have a rough understanding of what I'm getting myself into calorie wise, food wise. I'm either going to choose this, I'm going to choose that, or I'm going to prepare myself before, you know, maybe skip a meal before you go out or load up on extra protein before you go out so that you don't overeat when you go to the event. One thing I don't recommend though is trying to make up for it the next day. I do not recommend that at all. The reason for that is because you're going to wind up overcompensating and you're going to essentially kind of put yourself in a situation where mentally you're not in a good spot because that's a crappy kind of spot to be in mentally, like feeling bad that you went out and you enjoyed yourself and you had fun. And two, you're more than likely just going to binge because you're going to say to yourself, I'm not going to eat the next day. And then you don't eat at all. And then the next day comes and then you're starving because you didn't eat the day before. And then you overeat the next day, right? What I preach to everybody, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is the past is the past. The only thing that you can do is move on. And when it comes to food, just get right back to it the next morning, like nothing happened. Right. So, like, even if you mess up, oh man, I had 4 drinks and I had dessert and I had appetizers. Johnny said not to eat that. Like, it's done. You cannot do anything about it. Like, wake up, have the same breakfast that you've been having for the last month or two, that nice healthy breakfast that we talked about, and just go about your day like it's a normal day. You know what I'm saying? And it will even out. It will even out in the long run. But don't try to overcompensate and make up for stuff because you're just gonna put yourself in a worse situation. Um so I'm reading the chat. I choose to... Yeah, okay. Cool. Oh, sorry, that's my bad. All right. So are we all good on this with alcohol? Anything else? Okay. Yeah, mixed drinks are sugar bombs, right? So uh margarita can have 40 grams plus of sugar. It's like drinking 10 teaspoons of sugar in one glass. These drinks spike hunger, crash energy, pack on calories, making them a major obstacle for fat loss, right? So definitely try to avoid sugary drinks, beers, um, dark liquor, stick to clear liquor, stick to 0-calorie mixers. Of course, margaritas are my favorite. This is eye-opening. Sorry. Okay, so now we're gonna get to like food proportion. So deep fried foods, okay? Frying foods adds 200 to 500 calories on top of the meal that you're already eating because of the oil that's absorbed during the cooking process. So 1 tablespoon of oil contains approximately 120 calories, which adds up very quickly in fried dishes. Deep fried dishes are very delicious, but they can hinder our progress towards your goals. So, avoid breaded, deep fried foods when we're out to eat. So I just want to show you guys, I did this last week. Hope this still works. I want to show you guys what 1 tablespoon of, oh, damn it. Yeah, 1 tablespoon of olive oil. I was gonna pull up Google, but I don't want to mess up the slide. So everybody knows what 1 tablespoon is, obviously, right? Tablespoon, regular spoon. So that's 120 calories worth of oil right there. Okay. We've all seen a deep fryer before. I've deep fried foods myself here at the house, and I used a whole bottle of olive oil to deep fry something. So you're taking like a healthy food or a low calorie food like a potato or a chicken breast. Like a chicken breast is only 160 calories for 4 ounces. A full potato is like 120 calories, and you're adding easily, maybe 500 calories extra to the food simply because of the oil, right? Um, so when we're eating out, we want to avoid deep fried foods simply because they're packed with calories. You know, I would suggest getting it baked, um, getting it grilled, maybe boiled if it's like a potato or something, just because you're going to avoid hundreds and hundreds of calories. We'll go over this kind of in the next slide a little bit. When you go out to a restaurant, regardless, whatever it is that you order, they're going to cook it in butter, and butter has hundreds of calories as well. There's really no way around that because restaurants want their food to taste good. So they're going to add butter to the food so that it tastes good. But at least avoid, deep fried foods, and you're going to set yourself up for most success. So, appetizers, like I said, maybe like a nice grilled fish or, some sort of light, a salad with a light dressing, with chicken breast, something like that. That's really kind of what you want to opt for. So does anybody here kind of not know like what to order now when it comes to like appetizers? Because it's like really common, right? Mozzarella sticks, chicken fingers, wings, foods like that are really common. Does anybody have like any kind of hesitation now of what to order? All right. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna go to now how food is prepared. So yeah, oil, butter, right? So even if it's not fried, restaurants cook with oil and butter. A grilled dish can have hundreds of added calories if soaked in fat. So yeah, if you really want to be anal about it, you can ask to, not cook in butter or to use like a light oil or a light butter. This might be tough to do just like for social reasons. This is, again, if you want to be very anal about it, but I think what is a good takeaway for this is like, if you guys are tracking your calories, and you search up in one of those tracking calorie apps. Okay, I went out to a restaurant and I had chicken breast, and you put the chicken breast in, and it says, "Oh, it's 160 calories worth of chicken breast." You're like, "Okay, I'm good because I got it baked." It's always better to overestimate your calories when you go to a restaurant. And what I do and what a lot of other people do is they'll add like 2 tablespoons of olive oil to like their meal when they're tracking it, so that they kind of account for those extra calories because it's going to be more calories than what the app says or what Google says. Um, does that make sense to you guys? Just because
So
yeah, go ahead.
I can tell like off the bat, my filet mignon last night was coated in butter. That's the only negative.
Yeah. And you know what? Like there's no way around that. And you really shouldn't feel bad about that. It's like I said, restaurants are gonna want their food to taste good so they can get more customers to come back, obviously. So they're gonna cook it in butter, you know what I'm saying? But just understand, like, okay, in Nino's situation, he got a fillet, I might say on like a food tracking app, oh, filet mignon is 300 calories for 6 ounces. That's true, but I would probably add another like 200 calories worth of you know, calories to that meal because of the oil and the butter.
Johnny, do you have any apps you recommend for tracking food?
Yeah, definitely. So the most common app would be my Fitness Pal. I can put that in the chat actually. Um, my Fitness Pal is like the most common one. Um, there's a bunch. My Fitness Pal is good. My own app that I use for coaching clients and everything has like a database of food that you can search up foods and track your foods in there. Um, Another good one is Chronometer. I just put that one in the chat. Um, so like I said, this is not to say don't order stuff or not to ask for light butter or anything like that. It's just be aware that, I got a steak or I got a piece of chicken, and that's the right thing to do. It's better than ordering chicken wings, or it's better than ordering mozzarella sticks as your main course. But just understand that, it has more calories than advertised.
Guys, who in the next 7 days is going out to eat or has plans to go out to eat? You put it in the chat or just like raise your hand. Okay. Erica, I see. All right. So when you go out to eat, Erica, and whoever else has plans, let's put this week to the test, and let's hold yourself accountable and like maybe post your meal in the group or something of that sort. Show us how you're practicing this habit. Okay. I will be going to eat too this week, so I'll definitely do it as well.
Last week was easier than this week. This week's for Mother's Day, and it's like a prefix menu. So I'm limited on options, but I'm still gonna do my best.
Yeah, so that's if any of you guys haven't, I really, really would recommend going back to the first week and just watching that or just putting it on in the car, listening to it or something. Because for the most part, when you're out to eat, what should I eat? Right? The answer is high protein with a bunch of vegetables. We'll cover that a little bit briefly in a moment. But the reason for that is because protein and vegetables are the lowest calorie choice, and they're the most satiating and filling food groups, right? So if you eat like an entire steak, like Nino did, chances are you're not really going to be too hungry after you eat a giant piece of steak or a giant piece of chicken breast or a giant piece of salmon or tuna, right? It's very filling. But we've all been there, like, hey, I'm gonna order the pasta, and then You get home like 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, and kind of in the drawer looking to munch on something. Because that's just how things are. So yeah, when it comes to like what do I actually do, we'll backtrack a little bit. In terms of alcohol, we all know now what we're gonna do. Clear liquor, 1 to 2 drinks, if necessary, right? Food wise, what do we order? We stay away from fried foods. We understand that everything probably has a little bit more calories than what we think, and we try to order high protein steak, chicken, fish with as much vegetables as you want on the side. So that will definitely be a focus for this week for you guys is I can imagine most people are going to go out to eat this week. I want to see what you ate and post it in the group. Okay. Yeah, so again, this is kind of what I just went over. So the benefits of protein are that they're very filling. It helps control your hunger, supports muscle growth. It's lower in calories compared to fried or breaded options. And yeah, it's ideal for restaurants, right? So like go like Nino said, like that's a perfect example that Nino used is like go out, order a nice piece of steak, nice piece of chicken breast, a good sized piece of fish and have that, enjoy it. You're not feeling like, oh, you're the weird one, like dieting and can't order this, you can't order that, or you're eating a salad at dinner. Have a nice big portion of protein when you go out. I guarantee you're gonna feel way better. You're gonna feel full. You're not gonna want to snack as much. You're not gonna feel inclined to order dessert or go home and snack on something. And load up on the vegetables as well, because same thing as the protein. They're very nutrient dense. They're low in calories. They're high in fiber. Fiber helps keep us full. It helps keep us more satiated. It helps us with digestion, and it adds volume to our meals, right? So a big plate of, salad or a big spinach or asparagus, you could get a lot of that actual food volume for not that many calories. So that is, how you navigate eating when you go out. When you go out to restaurants. Stick to those kind of like core basic principles, and you're gonna put yourself in the best position you can be going out to eat. Sorry.
Oh, how are like I had oysters for an appetizer. Are those like okay?
Oysters are not bad. Yeah, oysters are pretty high in protein. It's pretty low calorie, and they're not fried, I believe. I don't really eat oysters myself, but they're not fried, right?
No, no.
Yeah, they're boiled, right?
I had it raw oysters.
Oh,
Like
raw. Yeah, yeah. So it's even better. Yeah, oysters are good.
does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? How's everyone feeling? We're not 2 weeks in. Um, speak now, forever hold your peace.
Johan, how we doing?
I do have a question. I don't really go out to eat much, but in terms of like cooking with oils or butters, like what do I use? I never
Yeah.
really even considered how much calories those actually have, to be honest. So that's
So
quite an eye opener in
yeah,
itself.
absolutely. So what I recommend, I'm gonna grab it real quick. What I recommend is something like this. You could do avocado oil, olive oil, but get the spray. Can you see?
Avocado oil.
Yeah, the spray, right? The reason for this is because, again, it says 0 calories. You guys can see that, right?
Hmm.
It says 0 calories. It's not 0 calories, but it's lower calorie than um olive oil. The ingredients in this, it's just 100% avocado oil. Same thing with the olive oil spray. So if you get like that yellow, I might have it, but if you get that like yellow Pam, that's also 0 calorie, but it's got a lot of like weird chemicals and everything in it. This is one ingredient, pure avocado oil, do olive oil spray, and it's lower calorie. So Essentially, every 1/3 of a second of a spray or 0.25 of a gram is like 5 calories. What does that mean exactly? That means if you spray for 1 second, it's like 15 calories pretty much. It's negligible. It's not anything that you have to track. It's not anything that you have to worry about. Just use it, coat your pan how you like. Maybe you add 25, 30 extra calories to your meal, but it's better than 200, 300, 400. That stuff, like something like this, you don't really have to track because, like I said, it's negligible. It's less than 100 calories. It's not going to make or break you.
Cool. Yeah, I've kind of been like eyeballing some oil on there and not even thinking about how much it was.
It's really eye-opening. I said this last week. I said if you guys just swap that out, right? If you just stop using oil and butter to cook your food and you just use this, I promise you, you'd probably lose like an extra 2 or 3 pounds in like a short period of time, just from that alone. Especially like you, Johan, like you don't eat out a lot. You probably cook most of your food. It will make even more of a difference.
Cool. Well, it's mostly my wife cooking, but I'll let her know.
Yeah, later. Yeah, so Erica said it says 0 calories, but it's not 0 calories. Yeah. That's because, like I said, legally nutrition labels are allowed to round down or round up. So like if it's under 5 or if it's in between like 105 and 110, they can label it as 100. There's like some room legally for I guess lying, if you want to call it, but it's just marketing because people see it and they go, "Oh, it's 0 calories." It's not, but like I said, it's close enough that you don't really have to worry about it. Like I said, if you read the fine print, serving size is 0.25 of a gram. Like you can't even really measure that. Is like somewhere between 0 and 5 calories. So, like I said, even if you do like a 2 second spray, it's like 5 times 6, it's 30 calories, it's not really gonna make or break. Whereas everybody has, when you guys, well, here, I'll show you right here. This is regular olive oil bottle, and this is 120 calories for 15 milliliters, which is about, if you fill the cap up, that's 120 calories. So now, yeah, go ahead, Erica.
I was gonna say, I'm glad you said like not to stress about measuring it, because I'm not gonna lie, I just did a lot of meal prep yesterday, and in my head I was like, how am I supposed to know how much olive oil I just used on this chicken? Like, how am I supposed to prep that out? So I appreciate you saying like not stress about it. I definitely am being more mindful though, now that I see how many calories it is.
Yeah, like I said, this you don't have to worry about this. Forget about it, This, if you did want to use this, I would definitely recommend tracking this, Like, I'm not gonna lie, this definitely tastes better than this when it comes to food, but this you pay for it more. So if you say to yourself, like, you know what, I wanna make a nice fillet or whatever with the steak, just track it and you'll be fine.
Thank you.
Um, Okay. So yeah, we'll cover carbs really quick when we're out to eat, right? Because carbs are definitely a thing. So what carbs to do? Um, Rice, brown rice, white rice, regular or sweet potato are your best bet. Potatoes, just be mindful of how they're cooked. Are they deep fried? Are they baked? Are they, air fried? Just be mindful of how you're gonna get your potato cooked. I would avoid, if weight loss is your goal. I know this might be hard for a lot of people to hear, but I would avoid pasta. Just simply the noodles themselves aren't that bad. It's really the sauce that kills you when it comes to calories, So if you want to just get plain noodles, you can, but it's a little unconventional. So, I would say for the most part, avoid pasta. Simply just because like, the calories in the pot and the sauce are dense. The sauce is made with oil, so obviously that's kind of the reason why. And when we're ordering, we covered this a little bit last week. Make sure that your order always includes the protein. And what I said last week is when you go out or when you're thinking of a meal in your head to make at home or order, think to yourself first, what protein option am I going to choose? Do I want steak? Do I want chicken? Do I want fish? And then build the rest of your meal around that protein, right? Um, so if you're gonna do like you can't just say to yourself like I'm just gonna have pasta for my dinner, or I'm just gonna have fries as my dinner. It has to have protein. It has to. So if you're gonna do pasta, add pasta to it. If you're gonna do a potato, make sure you're having some sort of protein on like the main star of the meal has to be the protein. Yeah. So potatoes are really like an awesome food to eat when it comes to satiety. They're extremely filling, and they're very rich in nutrients and fiber. So, they're gonna keep you full. A really filling meal when you guys go out to eat. Steak and, baked potato. It's gonna keep you full for hours, maybe for the rest of the night. Um, Next time you guys eat like a baked potato or whatever, just, notice how full you feel afterwards because they're really like one of the most satiating foods, point blank period. Has a very high, fiber intake, a lot of potassium in them, and a lot of good other minerals. So they're gonna keep you full. It's what your body needs, but obviously, potatoes are notorious for being deep fried and baked, and add butter to a baked potato with bacon and cheese and all that stuff, right? So obviously, that's the stuff we want to avoid, if we want to lose weight. But that's just a little side note for you guys that potatoes are really good to keep you full. So yeah, just to recap now, um, when we're out to eat, be conscious of your calories, right? The best way to ensure that we're staying on track is to track your calories. We kind of went over this. Alcohol, we're going to limit to 1 or 2 drinks. If we do have to drink, we're going to go with clear liquor with a 0 calorie mixture. We're going to try to avoid stuff like margaritas, sugary drinks, beer, dark liquor. Food, right? We talked about it. Protein, vegetables, those are your best bet for obvious reasons. They're going to keep you full. They're full of nutrients. And just be mindful of sauces, butter, because they are loaded in calories, right? So, like I said, with the potato example, baked potato, ask for the butter on the side. Just do a little dip if you need. You can enjoy it. That's fine. But if you get your baked potato and they drizzle the butter on it, there's nothing you can really do about that. Um, so yeah, that is kind of little rundown of how you guys navigate the social aspect and the eating out aspect of losing weight and staying on track and kind of hitting all your goals and everything. So kind of some actions for this week is I want to see what it is that you ate when you go out, post it in the group, take a picture of your order. You can take a picture of your drinks. But yeah, let's get those posts in this week. Let's see how we did. And yeah, I hope that this gave you guys a little bit of insight and a better kind of understanding of what to do when we're out to eat.
Quick question. When I do go out, I usually get like one of those big burgers. Are those like really unhealthy I guess, to eat?
So it's not terrible. It's not terrible because the meat is pretty protein dense, right? But there's other stuff on the burger that isn't the best for you, right? Like, maybe it has some sort of sauce, some sort of like mayo or mustard or something like that. The cheese. And more than likely the meat that the restaurant is using is a higher cut of fat in the meat. So it's probably like 70% lean, 30% fat, which is like higher in calories compared to a ground beef source that is leaner, a 90-10 lean ground beef source. So if you go ounce for ounce, the leaner protein option has fewer calories and higher protein intake than the fattier. So, like we talked about this last week, but 4 ounces of 90-10 lean ground beef is about 160 calories, whereas 4 ounces of 80-20 lean ground beef is about 260 calories with less protein, also, right? So, if you want to have a burger at home, you want to make a burger, I suggest you use and you buy the leaner ground beef. When you go out to eat, like I said, restaurants want their food to taste good. Fat tastes the best. Fat is the most tastiest macronutrient, right? So they're gonna buy the fattier cut of the meat because it tastes better. You know what I'm saying? So there's really no way around that. Burgers is okay, you know what I'm saying? But it's like I said, maybe if your goal is weight loss, I would say probably avoid the bun, avoid the cheese, get the burger and get like a baked potato on the side. That'd probably be like your best bet.
Okay. My goal at the moment is to like gain a bit of muscle, and I have friends that say like go on a dirty bulk, but that's not really something I want to do.
No.
So I'm trying to like figure out what the right way to do it is.
So you lost weight in a kind of like a slow and controlled manner. When it comes to gaining muscle and putting on size, it's the same thing. You want to do it
Hmm.
slow, right? So we talked about the 500 calorie deficit. The same can be said for trying to, gain weight as well. 500 calorie surplus, same thing, is very good for gaining weight because it's slow and it's sustainable, and you're not going to put on as much body fat as dirty bulking, which, if anybody doesn't know, like dirty bulking means like gain weight at all costs, eat kind of whatever it is that you want to eat. Um, the faster you put it on, the more body fat it's going to be. We want to put it on as lean as possible with as much muscle mass as possible. So do it slow, keep your protein intake high. All right, guys. Any other questions? Nope.
Actually, yeah, for
Go
that
ahead.
app, MyFitnessPal, do you like track every meal when you track it, do you have to enter every single thing you eat, or do you like scan it? Or
Yeah, you can do both. You can either like type it in and search up the food and put how much of the food that you ate, or you can scan it. Um, the best way to go about that is you would need a food scale. So you need a food scale. You have to weigh what it is that you ate and then put it into the app. But the app also has history too, so you don't have to. It's not like you can even like if you have one day of eating, you want to put it on to the next day automatically. You can do that too, so you don't have to always type everything in. But like you type it in like the first couple times, and it kind of remembers, and it's like there, and you're recently saved, so you just like click it, and then it'll go right on instead of like going through the whole typing thing.
sounds pretty
Johnny,
cool.
Yeah.
I ran into something with a client today that I wanted to bring up as well. If you had any idea on how to like go about it, of just like for example, some people don't necessarily know how to navigate like the app in terms of like what they see versus what they track. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So inaccurately tracking things where it's like the portions are off or like it's so some things on my fitness pal are inaccurate in terms of like I've seen something like chicken breasts have like 15 grams of fat per 4 ounces, which is wrong. Like have you ever ran into that? Or do you have any advice on like people navigating the app?
Yeah. In that scenario, the best thing to do is actually what Erica said, would to be just to scan the barcode actually. That would be the most direct way to go about that. If you're not sure, like for myself, and for you, for some other, like, we can look at that and say, chicken breast doesn't have 15 grams of fat. Just don't select that choice. You know what I'm saying? But not everybody knows that. So if you're in doubt, just scan the barcode. Like sometimes people run into a situation where they'll buy like the store brand chicken breast. So like the meat distributor is Stop and Shop, or it is Whole Foods, or whatever it is, and they scan the barcode and it doesn't come up. In that situation, I would say, reach out to a coach and ask, like, hey, I'm unsure about this. Is this right? Is this not right? But most stuff has a barcode, rice. So I would say just scan the barcode. Um, yeah, so Erica said, I pay for the app so I can scan the barcode too. Yeah, it saves me time. Yeah, it's really, really convenient. Yeah, unfortunately, on MyFitnessPal, nowadays you need to pay to scan, which wasn't always the case a couple years ago. There definitely are other platforms that you can scan for free. I don't know them, but there definitely are if you guys do enough digging. Maybe this one, Alexa, has that option.
Yeah, you can scan the barcode, but if you want to like take actual pictures of the food, then you have to get premium.
If you want to take a picture for you guys,
Yeah, but it's so much easier to scan the food. I
yeah,
find when I do it, it takes me like minutes, and I recommend it.
yeah,
It's pretty accurate.
agreed. I will say this. So now there's new kind of like AI technology where they claim that the AI can just look at a plate of food and it will tell you exactly how many calories and that is. No, not possible. It is not possible for that to be accurate. Scan the barcode, weigh your food, put in how much you consumed into the app. That's the most accurate way to do it. You cannot take a picture of a cheeseburger and it will tell you, oh, this is 600 calories. It has no idea what cut of meat that is, how much meat is in there, what size is the bun, how much cheese, how much sauce, how much butter. It's no way. There's no way. And then yeah, Victoria said she uses Lose It.
Lose it. Yeah, I started that one. I really like it because
Okay.
it like tracks my protein grams, fiber, like I have the different goals on it. It is
Yeah.
free too.
Perfect. Can you
So I don't know, just like another option.
definitely, yeah. No, it's good. I've been out of that game myself for a while.
Hold on, guys.
Yeah.
Victoria lost 4 pounds. Just saying.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you, Nina.
Maybe
Excellent.
you lose it because it's working.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so like at the end of the day, is it possible to lose weight without tracking calories? It's possible. You have to be very, very mindful of what you eat, and you really do have to just be very truthful and honest with yourself and say, like, I overate today, the scale shows it, or the weekly average of my weight shows it, because don't go by day-to-day weight. The weekly average shows it. And I have to eat less this week. It's definitely harder. The most accurate way to lose weight would be to track what goes into your body. Um, if you have a drink and the drink has calories, that needs to get tracked. Like we said, this small stuff like that, gum, no, you don't need to track gum. Little things like that. But if you have a drink, if you eat, yeah, track it, figure out how is your weight trending with those calories, and then adjust from there. You got anything?
I used to watch like fitness YouTube bloggers like track their whole day of eating. That like helped me a ton. I might post one of them in there for you guys to watch.
Yeah. And yeah, that's actually good. Yeah, there's a lot of content out there like that. Some people will tell you that it's disorderly eating. I don't agree with that. I think disorderly eating is being out of control and not knowing what's going into your body and not caring. I think that's more disordered. So it's funny because like the social norms are almost always backwards when it comes to this stuff. Like, Erica, you said like people just don't understand. Oh my God, you're out in a public place and you're not drinking. Like, it's uncomprehendable for people. Whereas like what you're doing should be more normal. Like you're taking care of yourself. You care. You want to do better for like that shouldn't be questioned. It should good for you. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So don't let anybody tell you that tracking your food and weighing your food is disorderly. You can get a little crazy with it, but for the most part, if you're normal, will be okay.
Especially during this process, create a little separation between you and the people around you if they're not, supporting you or understanding what you're doing. Um, kind of have like that Teflon skin. Like you guys are trying to make a change. You're not going to be relatable right now. You're not going to be understood. You kind of have to put yourself on an island, and just know you're doing it for like the greater good. All right. All right, guys. So
Yep.
if anyone has no more questions, we're going to end the call. We're going to post this in the group tomorrow. If you guys missed certain parts or whoever didn't get to make it to the call, Johnny, if you're able to also post the slides from like last week and this week,
Yeah. I could do that. Yeah, I could fill them up.
and then let's tackle this week, guys. All right. All right, guys. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys. Stop the recording.